This is the Tobor 535 podcast. I'm Tayden.
I'm Luca.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Mariel.
I'm Emily.
I'm Gwen.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Evie.
So this podcast is going to be about team organization, and the primary tool of team organization for our team is a process that was originally developed for industry applications, and it's called the Scrum process. And the Scrum process is essentially just a system for communication, and it involves a couple different kinds of meetings. So the main unit of Scrum, or the main point, is that you break your task apart, in this case building the robot, into more manageable pieces called sprints. And each sprint has a particular kind of goal. So for example, one sprint might be to design your robot, one sprint might be to build it, and one sprint might be to program it. Or you could do it a different way and have one sprint be to build, design, and program the chassis, and design, build, and program the manipulator or some other component in another sprint. So each sprint, the key thing is that you have set goals, and you have a set time frame so that you can hold yourself to those goals and get things done on time. So at the beginning of every meeting, we have a meeting to decide what we're going to do that day.
Scrum is really good for our team because in previous years we've kind of just used the like the part where you have daily meetings, but this year we've gotten into the whole make a list of things to do and have every person assign like a priority and all the stuff to the tasks, and that's really helped our team progress and know what every person on the team is doing.
So for those of you who aren't familiar, the daily Scrum meetings involve everyone stands around in a circle, and each person says what they accomplished last time and what they hope to accomplish this time, so that the entire team is on board with what everyone else is doing. And that way you don't end up with weird miscommunications between different groups.
A Scrum meeting is going to be different between teams. Like for us, example, we have an object that we pass around that changes constantly, so that we know who's supposed to be talking and to let them talk. It's not 100% perfect, but it does help.
It's also crucial to keep Scrum inside around 10 minutes. It can expand a little bit if your team is large, such as our team Botman at our school that has around 15 people. But we try to limit it to 30 seconds a person when speaking to keep it as short as possible.
To help us keep our sprints and tasks within those sprints organized, we utilize an online organizational tool called Trello. It's very useful to keep track of what we've done, what needs to get done, and who is assigned to what without having to command it all to memory. We have Luca, who is pretty much in charge of that and keeps track of it for us, but we all have access to change and edit as we need, while also being able to just check in and be like, oh, this is what I'm doing today. I forgot.
So Trello's kind of gimmick is that you can have different columns or categories, and each one has cards in it. So we find this very useful. You put a bunch of cards in a particular category, and then you can move them across as they get done, from not started to started to finished.
Yeah, it pretty much replaces we've talked about in previous years having like just a dedicated space on a wall for us to move sticky notes across into categories, or like index cards. But with Trello, we can do it all online. That way we can see it from anywhere, and we can all edit it and have input on what gets added and taken off.
So another way that our team helps to organize not only the Tobor team, but also just the Crop Visual Robotics program as a whole, is by utilizing, so we have op managers and division managers. So the op managers, we have Mariel, who manages our team, Gwen, who manages Botman, and Tayden, who manages Radical. So these three people are responsible for making sure that processes within the teams are getting done as best they can, and making sure that anybody who needs help is getting the help that they need within the teams. And the group managers, there's 5 of us. So there's the TG or technical graphics manager who helps with CAD work and design of the robot, and that's Ethan. And then we have our ME manager, who is mechanical engineering, and that's Ian, and he helps with the building and stuff. So anybody who has questions within the 3 teams about the building of their actual robot can go and talk to him. And Luca is our CS manager, and that stands for computer science. So if there's any questions about programming, whether it be autonomous or teleop, he's the person to talk to. And then I am the engineering notebook manager. So any questions about how to document anything within the team, the 2 other teams can come and talk to me. And then Evie is our social and social media person for that group. And so if they have any questions about branding or anything like that for their team, she's the person to talk to.
Just to clarify real quick for anyone who may not have known, our school, Crawfordsville High School, actually has 3 teams, Tobor, Botman, and Radical Change. So that's why Tobor is in charge of other teams and helps underclassmen who are in those teams.
Yeah, we're considered the leadership team, so all the group and managers come from our team.
So during the competition, we organize ourselves to have different people set to different tasks. We have one person who is the pit boss, who will always be in the pit, which is usually our programmer, Luca. And then we have our drive team, which is constantly moving around between competition fields and back to the pits working. And that usually consists of 3 people, obviously the 2 drivers and the coach. And then we have scouting.
And what's really important about scouting is you do need to have people who you know are going to do this on your team. You kind of have to have people who set aside time and are assigned this role, because otherwise scouting may not happen, and it's important this year in terms of alliance strategy to have scouting.
So when you go into a competition, it's best that everyone knows exactly what they're going to be doing so as to avoid people just milling around wasting time, right? So you got your drive team doing stuff, you got people scouting, and then you have a pit boss that's in the pit in case judges come by or in case the robot breaks and something needs to be fixed.